Welcome back to another episode of 7 Minutes of Bond Locations. I'm Martijn Mulder for On the Tracks of 007, and in this episode I'm going to show you some locations actually from 3 different Bond films, with 3 different actors as well. Diamonds Are Forever, Octopussy, and Tomorrow Never Dies. Welcome in Germany. Lots can be said about Germany's turbulent but also fascinating history, but almost all will be conveniently skipped here to focus directly on the Bond connection. But we cannot do that without, mentioning the war. Many of the people who would form the creative heart of the early Bond films were World War II veterans. Most importantly, it was Ian Fleming himself, who worked in naval intelligence and was in charge of a few intelligence operations during the war. The first time Germany can be seen in a Bond film was in 1971. After his encounter with Tiffany Case in Amsterdam, Bond smuggles the diamonds inside Peter Frank's body, which was filmed at Frankfurt Airport. The coffin can be seen loaded into the plane, and this was the actual plane that took cast and crew to Los Angeles. As you can imagine, airports today don't look at all like airports looked in the 70s, so you won't find anything recognizable here anymore. Director John Glenn then took Bond back to Germany in 1983 for Octopussy. This time the story actually involves Germany, or rather East and West Germany, before the two sides were reunified. At the end of World War II, the American, Canadian and British troops attacked Germany from the west, while the Russians attacked from the east. Both realized that whomever took Berlin would have a serious advantage over the other in post-war negotiations. This eventually caused the division of Europe by an imaginary Iron Curtain, but it would also cause the city of Berlin's division by a real live wall. After the war, the Allies divided Germany into 4 occupational zones for administrative purposes under the 3 Western Allies, the United States, United Kingdom and France, and the Soviet Union, respectively. Because of its importance, Berlin was also divided into 4 parts, which caused a problem as the city itself was located in the Soviet-occupied part of Germany. In 1961, in the middle of the Cold War, the Soviets decided the only way to keep people from fleeing from East Germany to West Germany was to fully surround the western occupied zones of Berlin by a wall. The infamous Berlin Wall was still there when Roger Moore arrived in Berlin to film Octopussy. The establishing shot was done on the Kurfürstendamm. Obviously they could only film in West Berlin, but at the famous Checkpoint Charlie border crossing, the Mercedes with Roger Moore had to actually leave the western side and drive into the small stretch of no man's land between the 2 sides. The moment the car was off screen, they hit the brakes and reversed back into West Berlin again, raising quite a few eyebrows from the unnotified East German border police. Most of the scenes that supposedly play in Germany were actually shot in the UK, so we'll skip these here, apart from one rather famous scene. Near the end of the film, when 007 needs to get to the fictional US airbase Feldstadt, he's dropped off on a German town square where he steals an Alfa Romeo. While the town looks very much German, it was actually a set on Pinewood's back lot. It was built especially for Hunchback of the Notre Dame that had just wrapped. The set was still there, so it was decided to use it for this scene in Octopussy as well. With the German police now in pursuit, Bond steers his Alpha through the streets of Berlin. These split-second scenes were shot in the fairly remote neighborhood of Spandau. He then returns to the highway and suddenly finds himself on what is a former racetrack, now Autobahn, the Avus. It must have been the most boring racetrack on the planet. as it's essentially just two 8.5 kilometer long straights in the form of a dual carriageway with hairpin corners on each end. It was the site of the very first German Grand Prix in 1926. Bond leaves the highway at exit number 2 and makes a sharp left turn into the Hüttenweg. He now ends up in a forest area, and this fitted in conveniently with the area around Black Park, behind Pinewood Studios, so the car chase then switches back to the UK. 007's third visit to Germany was in 1997, when Pierce Brosnan played Bond in Tomorrow Never Dies. The story takes him to Hamburg, in the north of Germany. Hamburg has always been known as a center of newspaper and media companies, so the reason Elliot Carver was based here is actually fully legit. Bond arrives at Terminal T4 at Hamburg Airport and has his encounter with Q in that terminal's departure area. The exterior of his hotel is the Kempinski Atlantic, beautifully situated at the Außen-Alster, an artificial lake. Later in the film, after escaping from Carver's printing complex, which was filmed in the UK, Bond crosses the street on Munkenbergstrasse and goes back to his car. When he enters the Atlantic Hotel again, he is watched by Stamper from the rooftop of the neighboring Ibis Hotel. It is also on the roof of the actual Atlantic that he makes his escape after his encounter with Herr Doctor Kaufmann. If you ask the hotel staff nicely, they're usually more than willing to show you the roof. Even though the car chase inside the parking garage was filmed in the UK inside Brent Cross shopping mall's parking, the scene ends all the way back in Hamburg. After cutting the chain with the smallest missile ever filmed, hidden behind his BMW logo, Bond races his car up to the roof of the parking garage, which was filmed, again, the Munkenbergstrasse. The open roof of the parking originally belonged to the Horten department store, which became a Kaufhof store in the 90s, and is now Saturn, the largest consumer electronics retail store in the world. Unfortunately, the circular ride to the top is now fully covered. After crashing through the wall, Bond's BMW ends up in an Avis rent-a-car store, which was built in a window of the department store next door.
Congratulations on a safe journey.
If you want to stay up to date on the connections between Germany and 007, I suggest you become a member of the James Bond Club Deutschland, the German Bond Club. Resurrected in 2014, it's now one of the most active Bond clubs in the world. So for only €50 per year, you can be part of various get-togethers, you can meet special guests, and you will receive the beautiful magazine Gun Barrel. So you might just want to check that out.
Preview. Your attention, please.
Hi, is this the Atlantic? Could you patch me through to room 467, please?
But now I'm afraid, Mr. Bond, that our little...
Hello? Hello?
Stop yelling in my ear, yeah?
So sorry about that. Listen, I checked out earlier today and I seem to have left my wife's phone in your room. Could you please check that for me?
Oh, okay, I ask. It's very embarrassing. I feel like an idiot. I don't know what to say.
Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll pick it up later today then. Thank you. Wonderful people at the Kempinski Atlantic. Well, anyway, this concludes this episode. Make sure you check out all the other videos that are online if you like Bond locations. So thanks for watching and see you next time. Yeah, well, thanks again. Bye-bye. No, you can just hang up. Just press that button.
Check out onthetracksof007.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.